Hi youth group, hi Lightsharers. Today we are going to continue to think about faith, not fear. And so I'm going to share a few thoughts with you about that, and then there'll be another video of me sharing a testimony about a time during my life a few years ago when I was very, very afraid. And so being fearful isn't something that only young people experience. Adults, we get scared too, and that's okay. So we were in lockdown for a really long time. Then the summer holidays came, you haven't been to school for a long, long time, and now suddenly you're going back. So I'm just wondering, how do you feel about that? Maybe some of you are really excited and you can't wait, but maybe some of you are feeling quite anxious and maybe even fearful at the moment. Basically, we've been in this cocoon for a really, really long time, and then now you're suddenly going back to school where there's loads of people, there's lots of things that are happening around you. And I can imagine that that might be quite unnerving. I think if I were your age, I'd feel quite uneasy about that, because many of us, we struggle with change. When we're at home, many of us would probably say that we feel safe and protected. We don't need to worry because everything is taken care of. But now that we're stepping back out into the big, wide world, it's as if things can go wrong again. There are loads of reasons for why we might worry. And oftentimes, it's easy for us to become fearful and afraid. And so I'm just wondering, what are some of the things that cause you to be fearful? For example, we could be fearful of people. What do other people think of me? Am I accepted? Do people like me? Am I cool enough? What if I don't fit in? If you're afraid of people, maybe you don't put your hand up in class to share your thoughts and opinions because you're afraid that people will disagree with you or judge you or think that whatever you said is stupid. Maybe there's this guy or girl that you like and you don't want people to know, but you're scared that people might find out. Maybe you're scared of telling this person that you like them because you're scared of rejection. I like your buttons.
Oh, thank you.
There's also the fear of failure. Some of you might be concerned about how well you do in school, and you might be worried about your academic performance or how well you perform on the sports field. There are so many pressures coming from different directions, and you're wondering whether you'll be successful in what you do. So son, how was your test? 90%. And where exactly did the other 10% go?
Ow!
Some of you are starting secondary school, and so before you're in year 6 and you're at the top of the school, and now you're one of the youngest, and that can be quite daunting. You know, the school site is a lot bigger, and making friends can be really difficult as well. I mean, when I was younger, I used to be quite shy, and making friends was always very scary. Still is sometimes, even now. You can probably think of other things that you might be fearful of. But the bottom line is this: when we're fearful, it is possible for us to allow our fear to shape and influence the decisions and choices we make in life, and also the things we do. When we allow our fear to get a hold of us and we allow our fear to get out of hand, it can actually become quite a controlling thing. This is Matthew chapter 14, verses 24 to 31. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came towards them, walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage, I am here." Then Peter called out to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you, walking on the water." "Yes, come," Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water towards Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" It's by faith that Peter steps out of the boat and onto the water. And in a sense, by going back to school, that's what you're doing. But the choice is yours. Are you going to focus on the things that make you fearful? Or are you going to focus on Jesus? Are you going to live in fear? Or are you going to live by faith? Remember that Jesus says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart because I have overcome the world." So my prayer for you all for this new academic year is that you remember who you are in Christ and that God goes before you. So let's not be afraid and let's choose to walk by faith.
And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul